all I did was, all I did in art school for 3 years was animate nude characters rotating. I'd do life drawings, and then I'd go back to my desk and I'd try to rotate my life drawings, and it was always nude. And people would complain that I never had any clothes on my characters or anything like that.
In animation school?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So like, you know, like to me, I was trying to figure out the anatomy thing. And then, you know, it came in stages after that. I kind of had to figure out how to draw, you know, clothes and wrinkles and stuff like that. So for the first few years, it was, you know, it wasn't just females. It was just, you know, whatever model that we had, male or female, I'd just take it back and I'd start working with it. Yeah. After a few years of out of art school, I kind of discovered Milo Manara. Milo Manara is an Italian comic book artist, and totally erotic. And he seemed successful, you know, successful in terms of he was selling tons of books, and women bought his books and men bought his books. It was just kind of just figured it out, because it was kind of a hard thing to do erotic art and do it tastefully, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of thought, you know, for the first while I was just kind of copying his art, and then I wanted to sort of develop my own style, you know, make it look like original. Yeah. So I started drawing from like Penthouse videotapes and stuff like that in our little studio, you know? And then imagine coming to work in the morning and I've got that stuff on the TV and I've got it paused, and like, it was so distracting.
Did that happen often?
I went through that phase for a while, you know, while I was trying to do the erotic comic book thing. Yeah. So that was kind of, you know, that was the progression that I went through, you know? I went from drawing, you know, life drawing in art school to drawing, you know, you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it has a certain look to it, it's because that's the progression that it took. Well, yeah, in terms of when I talked about learning how to draw like clothes and wrinkles, Peter was great at that. In fact, Peter taught me a lot about drawing with precision. You know, he's got a very sort of elegant style in terms of like the number of heads in the body. It's very elongated, and you know, to me, I just thought it was the way that I wanted to draw for a while. So I've definitely taken some of that Peter Chung stuff, and, you know.
Is that where you got into the perspective drawing as well, where you do like kind of warped perspective?
No, Peter can do things with perspective that I can't do. Like, he can draw with rulers and circle templates and stuff like this, and oval templates, and you know, it's amazing. But I don't have those kind of skills. So the big breakthrough thing for me in terms of comic books was that Massive Swerve comic that I did, because that was the first comic, it was only 10 pages, that I felt comfortable with. All the stuff I did before that, I just redrew and redrew and redrew, and it felt worked. And I finally did that Massive Swerve comic. And the reason why I liked it was because all the original artwork were thumbnails like that big. And so it had that quality of like, just that thumbnail quality that I really liked. And, you know, if you look at the comic now, you can see it looks like it's drawn with charcoal, because it's the pencil drawing blown up pretty big. But, you know, that's kind of, because it was all first person perspective, you know, I started warping things out, you know, to give it that fisheye lens type thing.
So that was the first time you experimented with that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And it started to become like a stylistic thing that I kept coming back to.
And that was 2002?
Yeah.
So then you've totally taken that style and refined it a lot, it would seem.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I'll take a drawing and I'll draw it like it's exaggerated. As if it's filmed with a fisheye lens, as best I can. And then I'll bring that into Photoshop, and then I'll continue to warp it.
So I'll just say, like, you do that freehand, the fisheye, you do it all freehand.
Yeah.
And then you bring it to Photoshop and you might tweak it a little bit.
I'll tweak it, I'll warp it. I use that warp tool like there's no tomorrow. But if you use it too much, then you can tell it's warped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It starts to get blurry. So you got to sort of keep it within a certain parameter to make it, to hide the fact that you're doing it.
Yeah, and you've got your videos, like someone could buy your videos, your tutorial videos, and watch them and see how you actually work on your drawings and your animation in Photoshop.
Yes. Yeah, I've got 3 tutorials that are circulating around right now. But now that my film is done, I want to do another series of tutorials. So that's coming. I haven't started them yet.
Right, and so I've done, I guess I bought 2 of them, and I've gone through them.
Yeah.
The one that was very short, so it's kind of like a speed drawing one. And the other one's, yeah, it was kind of like, I was like, I gotta learn how to draw like Robert Valley, this is great. And I like watch it, I'm like, oh, there's,
Yeah. Is that what you want to see me actually start it from nothing? Like, and see the drawing? Okay,
yeah,
that's good to know.
I would love to see it, and I'd love to see it like, and the longer one's great too, but I want to see all like the stuff you speed through.
Yeah.
Like basically the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
I
like,
had some, well, that was only $1, right? But the first one?
the first one was, yeah.
Yeah.
But even in the second one, like it speeds through other areas where
Yeah.
I'd love if you just like took one object
Yeah.
and spent like 15 minutes talking about how to like
Yeah.
animate that one object
Yeah.
and, you know, do the twisting, and I would love to see that. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like, yeah.
and that's interesting because from my point of view, I felt like I had to keep it interesting by speeding through it, but that's not like the feedback I've been getting at all. And I guess there's a group of people that sort of buy tutorials, and they're quite happy sitting there and eating their bowl of cereal and watching the tutorial, and it could go on for an hour. People say make it go on for an hour.
I would totally be down with that. I'd be more than happy to pay for an hour of you just like going through the nuts and bolts.
That's coming. Because, the first one was just me trying to figure it out. Yeah. And then my computer was it couldn't handle those screen, like the movies, because it's just a screen capture movie. And holy crap, do those files get big. So I got a new computer. So.
Are you on Mac?
Yeah.
SnapSX Pro.
Snap
Z with like 6 snaps.
Oh, okay.
X Pro.
Okay.
It's like the best.
Oh, yeah.
Screen capture
okay,
for Mac.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll get that from you afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm figuring it out, right?
Yeah, so that'd be awesome. Yeah, so yeah, out of this interview, that's like hugely valuable.
That's worth coming to Toronto for.
That is totally, totally worth coming to Toronto. Peaked again? I peaked. Okay, that's okay. I don't matter. I'm just gonna put text in potentially.
You're peeking out.
Yeah, I'm peeking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mushrooms are kicking in.
They are. They're totally. I'm hyped. I'm really happy.
Everybody's yawning.
Things just got a lot better. I kind of have that fisheye look in my own life right now. Yeah, that's awesome. Who would you say, like in terms of your stylistic influences as you were developing your animation, who would you say like the top 3 guys or women were that kind of influenced your look, your line drawing?
Peter Chung, for sure. And sort of the Gorillaz influence was Pete Candyland directly, because that was, the director that was, I was working for mostly in-house. But Jamie Hewlett in a huge way. Once you start drawing those drawings, because you're basically taking Jamie's drawings and you're working with them. And so once you start drawing his drawings, it becomes irresistible to draw like that afterwards. And you got to get it out of your system, because there's a lot of Jamie Hewlett stuff out there, and there's a lot of knockoffs and stuff like that. It's just a very appealing style. So, those are 2 sort of schools of thought. One is detail-oriented, which is the Peter Chung style. He can't pull out of the detail. That's just the way he works. And then there's the graphic simplicity side, which is the Pete Candyland, Jamie Hewlett side, which is a little bit, makes your life easier if you're an animator, that style.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about all the details jumping around and keeping everything in order.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like Peter had people quitting, in Korea and Japan when they were working on Flux. They were just in tears overseas. It was hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have the whole series. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like you're kind of establish a style, and you want everybody to draw in your style, and it's the most difficult way to draw in the world. And
they're doing it frame by frame.
Exactly. So, yeah. That's a high standard.
Yeah. Was it? I think you said Peter Chung told you to work with like a 3mm pencil.
That's right. Yeah.
And that totally revolutionized how you draw.
It did, and the way I thought too, because my thinking was, I was coming from the art school, sort of sketchy kind of world, and I would rough out a drawing and sort of find what I needed, what I was looking for from the rough line work, kind of sort of refining it with the eraser and that kind of thing. And then Peter, I noticed he had this style which was like a single line, sort of continuous line thing. And so that was like, that impressed the hell out of me that he was able to think so precisely and draw so precisely. So the first thing, that he suggested was to change my tool. And so instead of having this big fat line, you had a very thin line, and then I could draw a lot smaller. To me, drawing smaller was the key, because I could channel more what I was thinking in my head if I didn't have to cover so much like pencil mileage on the page. And so if the drawings can happen like this, you're thinking a lot quicker, and if you can record that stuff, and a lot of those good drawings, they happen on the side of the script pages, and they're only like this big, and those are the most important drawings.
Totally. Is that how you worked when you were working on Tron?
Yeah. Well, I was doing a lot of design work on Tron, but definitely I was doing some storyboarding, and you're working on the script, and you just do all the thumbnails on the side of the page, blow it up like 400%. I think it works, man. It saves time.
Totally. Yeah. I was super impressed with those two, like the character designs for Tron, all very unique. Yeah. Very definitely distinctly Robert Valley designs.
I'd say that was sort of Peter Chung influenced that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see the influence, but it's your own style. I don't think that. Yeah. I would look at that and I'd say it's Robert Valley. I wouldn't look at that and say that's Peter Chung. Yeah. I would say it's influenced by Peter Chung.
Yeah, definitely. The head to the body ratio is definitely Peter Chung.
Totally.
And but those guys at Polygon overseas, oh my God, what they were doing with the production across the board was incredible. But they were taking my designs, and it looked like they were actually mapping the drawings onto geometry, because it really just looked like the drawings were, it had the quality of the drawings, but they were 3D, so
they were perfect. Yeah,
they were perfect,
phenomenal.
Yeah, so those guys were such a big part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's amazing when you work with a team leader, you take your work and bring it to the next level.
Yeah, like Charlie Bean said on that production, he says, this production, every production, but this production is only going to be as good as the weakest link. So, right across the board. If the backgrounds are great and those guys do a good job with everything, and then the sound designer sucks, it drags the whole thing down. So every part of the production, was capable of bringing the whole thing down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they'd see the show and they'd be like, "Ah, it was really great," except for that one guy in the background. Yeah, was kind of walking weird. Yeah, he was stuck in a cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that guy too many times in the background.
Yeah, totally. All right, final wrap up question. You've just finished Pear Cider and Cigarettes as an animation.
Yeah.
What's next? Where are you going to next with that?
Well, I've just finished the animation, so there's more involved with actually finishing the production. So that's going to keep me busy until March, and I'll get into that later. But there's it's been a long, unsustainable, financially unsustainable thing to work on. So I need to get back to it and start making some money again. So, I've kind of put the feelers out there saying that I'm going to be sort of prepared to start working again. So there's a few things kind of looming on the horizon, but I'm not sure what yet.
Right, and you've talked a lot about having to find a way to be financially sustainable while producing indie animation. Yeah. Is that starting to click at all yet, or is that still something that you're working on?
You know, during the whole course of, since I started the animation, I've been doing freelance work for Leica. And they were so cool about, like, you know, just giving me as much work as I felt like I could handle while I was trying to get the film done, because they knew I was trying to get the film done too. So, you know, I was able to strike a pretty good balance between working with them and working on my film. It worked out for the most part to about a week or 10 days a month. And then last year when I had to pay my income taxes, I had to bump it up to 2 weeks a month. And so they were happy with that. And so, you know, that relationship where they could give me enough work to keep me sort of financially afloat and also give me enough space to work on my own film was the perfect sort of relationship.
That's great. And so do you see that kind of relationship continuing forward, similar style?
With Leica?
With Leica or with any other studio, in terms of like a half your own work, half a studio work, and that way you can kind of financially afford to develop creatively?
Yeah. Well, maybe. You know, like, it depends. You know, the arrangement that I had with Leica, it was, you know, early stages of a job, so it wasn't really on the production fast track yet, so they could afford to sort of let it kind of move at its own rate. You know, a lot of jobs aren't like that. You know, as soon as it's greenlit, you know, you got to start producing. You know how it's production, right? You know, nobody's going to pay you to work on your own stuff, right? So you got to do your own stuff and then figure out how to get paid afterwards. So I'm sort of doing it ass backwards. So the jury's still out. I don't know how it's going to play out.
All right.
We'll see.
So we'll check back in and we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to start happening pretty quick here.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much.